Good morning, all. Is it all good? Yeah. Okay, this was a great presentation just we had from Synthesia, so thanks Felix and team for doing that. It's very hard to match up to that opening spiel, but I'll try my level best. I did had quite a interesting last 24 hours. I'll be superbly transparent and vulnerable. People who are following the news would know a lot of things happening within the organization in Meta, including redundancy. Also, if that's not it, in the last 24 hours, I launched one of my latest books called Agentic Learning Systems. So I don't know which one was planned, but it worked out that way. So May 20th. By the time I was preparing for this particular speech, if you will, in the flight, it already became redundant, not because I wasn't prepared. It's only like, if you actually open LinkedIn and try to prepare any speech nowadays, in 30 minutes time, probably a new software, a new technology got rolled out. It's very hard to keep up to speed to that. And in the next 30 minutes, we'll see where we land, and chances are this deck might be obsolete. That's the world we are in. So I want all of you to pause for a moment and think in the last 6 months or even 12 months, what's happening in our space and the amount of changes that's happening. AI, which used to be used as a slapstick kind of acronym for any presentation, is actually getting it closer and closer than we think. In our industry, a lot of people are actually thinking that whether it's replacing my job and things like that. We'll tackle that in a bit. But I wanted to start off really asking you a single question. What comes to your mind about measuring impact? Because this looks great, from data to mastery. And that's exactly what I wanted to start to look great. But what exactly comes about learning measurement? Just pause for a minute. We'll cover that. So the question is $400 billion worth. And it's not, I'm saying, there are different researchers on that. At the end of this presentation, which all of you will get, this is one of the research from Josh Bossin, I'm guessing, yeah. So just imagine $400 being spent globally in our industry in learning. And do you know that 74%, and which is not there in this slide, 74% of organizations thinks they are not being able to cope up based on all the AI upskilling that's needed. And this all data came from one of Synthesia's L&D 2026 report and few others. I wanted to constantly mention Synthesia. No, jokes apart, but that's a great report. 74% of organization thinks that they are not keeping up to speed, and large, medium, small, up to speed with all the latest innovations or AI upskilling. So where is this $400 billion going? Interesting, right? I have that entrepreneur mindset, but gosh, if I'm owner of a company, I'll really ask my L&D POC, like, why are you spending? So 74, I'll tell you where it's going actually. 74% of the people think that they're not keeping up to speed. So where this $400 billion is going, it's actually going to that 47 slide deck that was pushed to you and you haven't opened after 2019. It's actually going to that annual privacy compliance training that you use in another screen, remember? You're working here on the broader screen. You just want to pass through it and do a completion, quote unquote, clicking on next. It's going there. And that's a huge context setting. Interestingly, when we all started our career in some shape or form in the learning and development industry, measurement comes pretty last in the chain. Like literally, we think of measurement pretty last. First, we think of scoping, content design, performance needs analysis, everything is fine. So I'm quite surprised and happy that the organization team has given this slot as the first of the slot. And that's exactly what we need to do. Before we even go that route, what an ideal learning solution would be, we should think, what am I going to measure? How it's going to move the needle to my business leaders whom I'm accountable. Just because I'm an L&D professional, and a lot of you are professionals, a lot of you have your own entrepreneur company, but just because, and I've been fortunate enough to work in few large tech, but just because I'm part of an L&D team, which probably has budget, that doesn't necessarily mean I keep on learning as a one-off event and it's just a tech box or a nice to have. Always having that mindset, if I own a training company, why would you hire me? We'll tackle that in a bit. So just a setting context, of course, I'm here for 18 years and I see amazing minds. I've seen a lot of you on, and we have connected in LinkedIn. This is a perfect room full of L&D professionals or connoisseurs, if you will. I have worked in both Meta as well as Google and a few other companies, but at the same time, what I've seen, and often it came to my notice that despite doing amazing thing, like I'm pretty sure a lot of you have thought about it, converting a 3-day instructor-led or virtual-led training to a 45-minute e-learning. I've done that. 97% reduction, great for performance cycle in company. But still, I get uncomfortable whenever a CFO of any company says, what exactly you do, how you measure impact. I'm not sure how you resonate to that, but that's where I think the biggest gap is in the industry. And it's very easy to say that, and we will discuss in different frameworks. It's very easy to say after this training, this has been the revenue impact. This has been that improvement of customer, I don't know, centricity and all. Is it? Is it only training? Probably there are other things that the ops team has done. And how are you correlating your learning intervention to that business KPI? But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Let's keep that for separate conversation later. But the uncomfortable truth about learning measurement, and let's put it this way. How many of you have measured your learning intervention? Raise of hands, which is good. How many of you have been asked by your CFO or higher up in the chain in your org, how are you measuring the ROI, and felt confident answering that? Raise of hand. Which is good. I can't raise my hand because I'm still not confident. We're still struggling there. And there are a lot of levers for that. But that's exactly what is happening. Gone are the days of smile sheet and all this training intervention. We used to give that or do a survey. And it's the uncomfortable truth is today we are still measuring that. So we do have completion rates. We do have satisfaction scores. Remember L1? So is the training meaningful? Every new hire that I trained in this 18 years journey has said, yes, it is. Because it's just out of the training and they don't have any other option because that's how I'll graduate them. But after 90 days, I can't face them probably. Probably they said the training wasn't great because it lacks practical application. Okay. Oh my God, that's a great thing that we all L&D professionals speak about it. You know what? This much of training hours has consumed by all these people. There's an impact that I'm showing. Headcount trend, 500 headcount trend in this compliance training. That's a huge impact. But what business is asking, and I'm pretty sure you've been asked also, at least I have been, and I'm speaking with a sense of vulnerability here. Often I struggle because how are you measuring your training ROI and showing that to a CFO level executive? That's the biggest thing. And that's where in a sales enablement organization, it's probably revenue impact. In a customer support organization, it's CX or resolution rate or CSAT, NPS. Often nowadays, and we do use a lot of that in Meta, time to competency. So just to Just to put it in very simple terms, if a new hire in any organization normally takes 120 days to be master at that particular program, after whatever innovations or revamp if you're doing in your onboarding, whether that 120 days has reduced to 90 days. That's an OPEX dollar value save because you're reducing time in training and pushing them up to production flow for they're hired for. Customer satisfaction resolution correlation. Now, these are the theories I'm pretty sure most of us are familiar, but I'm also mindful and respectful, but not necessarily everybody is an L&D, is representing L&D industry, but just for record, we do have Kirkpatrick, level 1, level 2, level 3, remember the pyramid. Then of course we have Phillips ROI, which adds the 5th layer of level 5, which includes about ROI measurement. Brinkerhoff, the success case method, like you should actually go and shadow the best performers of the team so that you understand what it looks like. And of course, there are other different granularity, but all this models were built for different era, don't you think so? And when I say different era, I'm not even speaking about COVID, like COVID, virtual learning training, and all those things existed. But Kirkpatrick, just for context, or Kirkpatrick in whatever way you pronounce, if I get the dates right, I think it was established in 1959. So did Barbie. Barbie has gone a live motion video and a movie built in it. We are still stuck in Kirkpatrick. We haven't evolved. We are still going by level 1 as a smiley shade post this training. Would you recommend this training to somebody else? We are still going by level 2, level 3, and level 4. But those were built in that era where our training were captured with people sitting in a class. Our training were captured with instructor-led training. But nowadays, we are going into mastery-based progression, adaptive learning. So based on your existing baseline, if you're learning a new product, it will suggest you all the different tools that we have. It will suggest you what you should learn next so that everybody is not coming with the same background because everybody has their different learning journey, learning style. And that's where the predictive analytics is super important. And that's where all the amazing AI tools that we have actually takes care of that. If there's one thing that we come out of this particular conversation, I would highly encourage you to think that one line. Moving from scorecards to signals. Gone are the days of scorecards. Scorecards are great. It's absolutely okay. It gives you a basis. You need to have data analysis, but let's not stop there. Try to get signals to that. And that's where scorecards has the basic flaw in today's era with today's learners, where the attention span everybody knows is super low, right? We have all heard the goldfish and all this other analogy. Just imagine that analogy in itself is staying for what, last 10 years. I can't even think what that 8-second has gone to microsecond. But scorecards are retrospective, scorecards are aggregated, scorecards are periodic. Periodic can be like on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. At the same time, signals can be predictive. Literally, we do have so many plethora of tools. Any organization in any shape and form, you can actually integrate with your data management system, and you can actually get, even when you're delivering a training, a wonderful video created by Synthesia. Again, I'm mentioning Synthesia, but literally any conversation, any adaptive learning that you're doing, you can get that sentiment NLP analysis. You can get what the learner is thinking, where they're spending more time. Remember Google Analytics, like time spent on a particular page and things like that. You can get on real-time displays and it can go granular. Now, I think not necessarily this is true, and by no means I'm a thought leader for whatever reason, but I think definitely AI upgrades Kirkpatrick and we need to embrace that. And we still, because those are amazing, we still in L&D field use and love all the frameworks. Those have been developed by amazing scientists. and amazing doctorates, but at the same time, it needs a little bit of upgrade if it's not there already. A lot of thought leaders like Josh Bersin I follow is speaking about it. But yeah, we need to move from end of course smiley sheets, that's the level one, to chatbot microfeedback during learning. And that's where adaptive learning platform, you take today any authoring tool or any a lot of adaptive learning platform, I'm not naming it, I just wanted to be respectful, but you do have AI tutor chat in between. I don't know if you have seen that. And things like that actually gives you that micro feedback during learning where a particular learner is asking more questions. Does that mean that particular slide slash module needs a little bit more explanation? And where they're moving fast, where they're spending more time, things like that. Remember level 2 of Kirkpatrick, the learning part of it. So we have done the reaction. The learning part of it is post-training knowledge test. We all used to do that. I remember when I started my journey in training, we used to give a sheet that time, but then laptops and all. Google form, multiple choice questions, 4 options, 15 questions, you score 80%, graduated, ta-da. We should move away and we should get into LLMs code simulations, which can have the assessing part of it. I'll give you one example. I do support sales as well as support org, but one particular example, and again, I'm not naming it. There are a lot of tools externally, but we do have today with the AI intervention, practice voice AI calls for a support team. Can you beat that? When I don't know about you, but I've also worked in contact center. I used to take calls. And I remember in the initial days when I was with a trainer, I would have to wait for my turn because the trainer used to do mock call for each of the 15 trainees, which would have taken anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. And once they certify, quote unquote, me, then I go to the production floor. Nowadays, in that 2 to 3 hours, all the trainees can practice 30 mock calls, voice, with different tonality based on the persona that you set or fed the system, which can include like a busy Bob who can be really busy, a rude Ron who can really get rude. And that's where you can train the system. So that's kind of the learning side of things. Of course, you have adaptive simulation-based assessment as well. There's a lot of simulation tools in the market. Behavior. Earlier, it used to be that 90 days observation survey. We don't have to wait for 90 days. We can actually capture real time metrics, right? It can come with escalation data, QA. Anybody who's coming from the quality side of things, industry standard, the sampling only takes care of 7% of data. Like say, for example, if your customer service agent handles 100 calls a week, only 7% of them are audited. But right now, the amount of tools and AI detection, you actually can have 100% coverage. So that's real-time data we are speaking about. And then, of course, results. Instead of lagging KPIs, linking learning events to business outcome, which you already discussed. This is the tricky part. That's the level 5 that I mentioned. Like on top of 4 levels of Kirkpatrick, that's the 5th layer, measuring the ROI. I think today we are much better suited to actually discuss about the ROI conversation. We are still not there yet because it requires a lot of efforts in between, including your integration with your data system, including your LMS data, your quality data, everything, having a holistic, unified dashboard. But all the AI tools can measure that. It's only you need to start with one proof of concept with your business leader, bring your leadership early into the ecosystem, bring your tech POC or CTO early into the ecosystem, and we just have to show one proof of concept. And you don't have to wait forever. You can start up as early as Monday. The performance ecosystem. Now, this is where I find it super interesting, and this is based on my amount of work, which has also increased over the last 1 year. But at the same time, right now, I handle like globally 12 vendor sites, more than 8,000 agents, and things like that. So it's scale, APAC, EMEA, LATAM, NORAM, all the regions that I can think of. Now, what I understood is a lot of leaders thinks, again, L&D as a team, as an enabler, nice to have. And for some reason, they think we have a magic wand. I don't have one. And they say, let's go for a training and their performance will improve. Performance, aka revenue, aka CSAT, whatever org they are coming from. It never happens because it's learning, and that's what Callbinder's six boxes theory, which I embraced and socialized with my org leaders, because none of the org business leaders would know all this, right? Just to give them a sneak peek that learning is only one box. There are a lot of other factors which influences the performance of an individual, which includes but not limited to tools and resource, whether they have the required tools to investigate a particular ticket, which includes motivation. If you're hiring somebody and you're not giving that enough of like career progression, that can also impact the performance. Remember the old analogy of hill, skill, will? Here I'm actually mapping it out, not me, as in Callbinder mapped it out, and I found I resonated with it quite a bit, because learning is only one of the six boxes. There are a lot of other factors, including motivation, including tools, including environment. You just give an employee to sit in the middle of the street and try to walk. Middle of the street is an exaggeration, but even in a room which doesn't have proper like architecture, infrastructure, that's probably not setting that person up for success. And that's where, if you have any time, you can go and we can definitely discuss over coffee or dinner later. But six boxes framework, I think, is a great mapping exercise that you can do with your business leader. I'm mindful of the time. I'll quickly go there. But another very, very important thing and signal in the AI world is confidence. Because no longer that scorecard is giving you what exactly is needed for a particular employee to be the best version of themselves. So confidence is super important. How are you measuring that? Confidence is a very underrated metric, and we can measure that. That's the scope and the space that AI is in today. There are different signals. It can integrate with your different tools, as simple as I mentioned, that NLP, sentiment analytics. Uh, Learning closely resonates with knowledge. Is your company knowledge base or help center article are resonating? Does it have a proper kind of a analytics in place where you can see where a particular employee is referring to as a source of truth document? I have seen, at least in another org that I was consulting, 51% of their existing wiki page or health center articles are stale. Nobody uses it. And people are based on their institutional knowledge. That's the problem. Everybody wants to keep it with themselves. So we need to democratize knowledge transfer so that everybody comes with the same scalable source to resolve anything. If there is one thing that I wanted to take care of, and of course, there are different ways to do that, but this I thought should be super important, like AI-powered measurement breakthroughs, micro-feedback loops, chatbots, and all the LLMs that you work with. Then behavioral signals over service, the CRM logs, the adaptive learning, the simulation scores, those are signals real time over service, right? That is super important. Unified performance dashboard. Now, data is great, but what are you doing with the data? Half of the time, those data, and you take any tool in the world, they have amazing data and analysis in the back end. But what are they doing with that? Half of the time, the learning LMS data is not correlating with the quality side of data. It's not correlating with the performance side of data. Performance can be sales, support, whatever your organization is focusing on. And from context factory to performance ecosystem, that's the last spiel I wanted to leave you on. We have learned, and Synthesia is doing great. A lot of other tools, we have improved quite a bit in AI mastery. But ask yourself, do you want to be recognized as an L&D professional by your business leader as a content factory or a content machine? Earlier, an ILT or e-learning used to take me 3 days. I can create in 3 minutes. Is that my worth to my business leader? Content creation is democratized. Even a software engineer can create an e-learning. We have developed those tools. So if anybody has gone through Claude Design, you'll see amazing e-learning. I've tried it with all the SCORM outputs. That's not our worth. Our worth is strategy. Our worth is consulting. More than anything else, our worth is measuring the impact. I'm mindful of time. With that, I'll leave it. There are a couple of other normal slides which will be shared any which ways. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Samir. What an interesting presentation. A lot of content, which is great. And there's a discussion that can happen now in the break. We don't have time for questions now because I want to protect the break so that you guys can get to talk. But I bet you'll be around in the coffee area, Samir, so that people can come up to you with their questions and conversations. Yes.
Yeah,
I take that as a yes. Fantastic.
Let's do that.
All right. Please give Samir a big hand for the presentation. And then we'll be back.
Thank you for being a wonderful audience.